Okay, I'm going to relate this to the idea of Ramadan. Like, hear me out. I was listening to a Luke Belmar, I think one of his data sets about Ramadan, and about how in the Quran, like there's, how did he say? Like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would say, there are those on Ramadan who will fast and all they will gain from it is hunger. And those who are on Ramadan, all they will gain will be hunger and thirst. Those who pray all night may only gain sleeplessness and all that. So how is this related to NoFap? Luke Belmar makes it a point that people who don't emphasize what they gain from abstaining from certain activities are going to lose. Like, he told a story of one of his Muslim friends saying that his friends and family, they'll break fast with fast food, high fructose syrups, seed oils, rather than breaking fast purely through either water and a date. Because during that fast, all they were thinking about were the pleasures of modern food, rather than getting closer to God, which is because the idea of your body being a vessel, being a creation of God, you want God to do all great things through you, and to get closer, you abstain. You do abstain from your natural urges such as hunger. Do not feed the vessel, so the spirit can get closer to God. This is sort of like a summarized version of that concept. And then in terms of NoFap, I found it is so much easier to keep like not jacking off by just not thinking about the thing you're avoiding, rather emphasizing on the stuff you get out of not doing it. I wrote some notes down. You should be thinking about what you gain. And some of the biggest things you gain from NoFap is time and energy. So rather than thinking about porn, about sex, about jacking off, like rather than having that occupied in your mental real estate 24/7, because that's how you will relapse. That's how I relapsed, like years ago, like a year ago, like before when I wasn't on NoFap. I would relapse because rather than just going about my normal everyday life thinking about what I can do with this energy, I rather focused on avoidance. Again, it's about where you put your mental focus. Do you put your mental focus on the stuff you're abstaining, or are you putting your mental focus on the stuff you are gaining? Because with myself, that's how I stopped relapse. Like, of course I get my urges, but then I place more focus on my work, on myself, on my own self-development, rather than NoFap. Because you shouldn't be obsessing about NoFap 24/7. It should just be running in the background. It should be running in the background, helping you have more energy and time to do the things that are worth doing. However, again, it might be hard for some of you guys because your urges are strong. Again, they're natural urges. But you must understand that even if something is natural, is it good? Like, you have to get to a point where you understand that sometimes you have to override and be disciplined enough to override and take control of your natural urges. Isn't that, I think it's beautiful, the idea of just being able to be in control, even if you have your natural urges. Like, the body has its natural urges, but your mind is able to dictate and control it. I think that's not tyranny, but sort of like voluntary tyranny. You're both the master and the slave. But would you rather be a slave to your impulses or a slave to your mind? An analogy I can give is, would you rather be a slave to the oceans or a slave to the captain? So a tip, like mental tip, is focus on something else. Focus on exercising. Focus on doing your work. Focus on your relationships with your family, your friends. But don't focus on porn, sex, masturbation, like all of that stuff. You shouldn't be focusing on the avoidance of it. You should be focusing on what you get out by having it out of the equation. That's probably one of the golden points of NoFap. You don't count the days, nor do you try and think about avoiding it all day. Rather, you think about what you get out of it. So focus on your energy and time rather than trying to avoid it. And that's probably the easiest way to not relapse. Because eventually it will become your identity that you just don't jack off. And it will feel weird to you to even consider doing it because it's not you. And your actions have to be congruent with your identity. So, yeah. That's how you don't relapse. I hope that helps.